This is the Cambium 450b Retro, the newest product in the Cambium 450 product line. It's a 5 gigahertz radio, and today I'm going to go through some information about the radio, talk about how it fits in the Cambium portfolio, and why Cambium has made the decision to come out with this product, and why it's their next step forward in a great product line. All right, so here we have the 450b, as I mentioned. Its packaging is really similar to the old traditional 450 subscriber modules that Motorola and Canopy had made for about 15 plus years. So that's something that everyone's going to be familiar with. And now we'll get to the radio. So, while form factor is pretty similar to the original 450 subscriber modules, and this is a long line of history, there was the PMP 400 series, which was originally called Canopy, and that next generation of that was the 430 line, and then followed by the 450 line, and that subscriber module was discontinued about a year and a half to 2 years ago. And Cambium came out with some other replacement products, which I'm going to get into in a minute here. But this form factor is something that there's been a lot of demand in the marketplace for Cambium to come back with. So this is a unit that their team was kind enough to send over to me. While the form factor is similar, as I mentioned, there are some things that are very, very different about this and the previous iterations of this product. First thing that's noticeable is that it used to be a singular molded piece of plastic with no seams or parts put together in it. But with the newer generation of products in the 3 gigahertz portfolio, one of the things that's carried over is that this backing, while the front and most of it is all plastic, is metal and acts as a heat sink. This product, the 450b Retro, has the newest subscriber module chipset in it, and that chipset, from what I understand, creates decent amount more heat, and so that's needed in the back to dissipate it. So as you can see, it is a 2-part subscriber module, which is a little bit different than all of the products that came before it. On the side, you have your signal lights, and this appears to be a completely enclosed piece. Before, they used to be on the back and on the bottom, and some manufacturers have had issues with leaking in those ports. I don't believe Cambium was ever one of them, but it's nice to see that they did a really good job of having the plastic molding with the holes in it and not individual, just a big opening with a sticker over it. So that's something I really like. Opening it up on the bottom is similar to how it historically always opened. There's the tab that opens it up, but then there's a port for Ethernet and a knockout if you so choose to add any additional wires going in there. And I'll hold it a little closer so you get a view of what's in there. Inside, we have an Ethernet port. There's what appears to be a USB-C outlet, and there's a 3.5 port for headphones. One of the things that people have always historically liked about the Cambium 450 platform was that they had the ability to do an alignment tone headset. That had been with a proprietary jack that went in there. I think it was a phone jack. They moved over to the entire 450b product line, which is their newest chipset, with a direct audio plug-in, which is really nice because you don't have to have any proprietary jumper, and it creates an alignment tone so that you can peak it in, and the higher the pitch gets, the closer you are to the peak signal gain. On the back, there's a grounding lug. And I'm going to go through a little bit here of some things that I do really like about this portfolio and some things that kind of, leave a little bit room for questioning. But how this fits into the product portfolio. The 450b product line is a product that is designed to be a subscriber module or a point-to-point link, which is kind of a different mentality than they had before that at Cambium Networks, where all the subscriber modules were just subscriber modules, and they had a separate product line for point-to-point. I think that's key because this product comes in at a list price of $299, and there's discounts to be had if you reach out to a distributor beyond that price. So this gives you the ability to do a very inexpensive point-to-point link in the 450 product line, which is on its own custom chipset. And this is really designed and best performs in a fixed wireless outdoor space versus other products by other manufacturers that have a commodity chipset that they've modified to perform outdoors. This is the best-in-class solution, and it gives you an extremely low latency, a very high spectral efficiency, and really great distances, along with a lot of different modulation schemes. So really, if you're looking at a very short point-to-point link and you want to do a best-in-class solution, this is a winning ticket for that. But that's not what I feel most of these are going to get used for. Traditionally, Cambium Networks had a subscriber module with the same form factor, and almost every install was put on a reflector dish. And once you put this on a reflector dish, it has the internal gain of 9 dB on this, and it adds an additional 15 dB of gain externally to give you 24 dB, which is right up at that maximum transmit level that the FCC allows in 5758. So a lot of old subscriber modules are sitting out in the field that are due up for a replacement, and this is going to be a great replacement for that because it's just a snap in and snap out replacement. Really quick, really easy, and a really economical way to get the latest equipment on your network. The predecessor to this was only able to do roughly 40 some megabits full speed, whereas this chipset allows it to go up to the full capacity of the access point if it's a 450i, or the individual node in the 450M Medusa platform. So you can get up to 300 megabits in a 40 megahertz channel. And so that really, it bodes a massive improvement in overall throughput. Latency on this platform has always been really impressive, somewhere between 2 and 5 milliseconds. And that's something that really allows business class and high SLA point-to-point links. How this fits in the portfolio, the highest gain product in the portfolio right now is the 450b high gain in 5 gigahertz, and right below that is the 450b mid gain, and that's also in 5 gigahertz. And below that is this unit, which is going to give you 9 dB alone, or 24 on a reflector dish, so you can get that real high gain that's equal to their high gain solution. And they also have a connectorized subscriber module, so you could hook up whichever antenna you'd like. Price point, as I mentioned, this is $299. The mid gain is $309, so it's priced very similarly to this. If I were doing a point-to-point link on the mid gain 17 versus this being 9, I would probably choose that mid gain as my point-to-point link. Gives you a little bit more overhead for fade and things of that sort. Where this is really going to compete with is the high gain, and historically people have been able to adjust the gain of the antenna inside of the software, and so the FCC requires, if an antenna is built into the radio, that be factored in. So that high gain has the system gain of the antenna, the integrated radio, and that reflector, so it's not built in and able to be adjusted. Versus this, you can make those adjustments because it's technically not all in one unit with a reflector dish and can be used standalone. So it gives you some opportunity to be a little more flexible about how you're deploying these and the system gain. As I mentioned, the most important thing of this is that it's going to be great for customers out there that have existing dishes, a snap-in, snap-out replacement. Another thing that's really important about this platform is that it's a wideband chipset, so it goes all the way down to 4.9 up through 5.8, and that a lot of people out there are starting to use more heavily the 5.2 frequency and 4.9, and the older equipment out there that had this similar form factor on the dishes wasn't able to do that. 4 times the processing power, a lot more speed, a lot more overhead on this. The antenna port is really, or the audio alignment port is very important for that. Something I did find really interesting on the spec sheet was that they mentioned that this supports GPS synchronization from a CN Pulse hooked up to the audio jack, which I wasn't really aware that was a feature, and I'm really interested to see how that's going to work in the future. The application will be you're doing a point-to-point link. You have your Ethernet for the data and the audio port could be potentially used for GPS synchronization. Something that makes this a little bit more flexible than other products before it is that it takes a wider variety of input polarities. Cambium, since way back in the day when they were part of Motorola, had their own proprietary pinout for power that was referred to as reverse polarity. It's not the same polarity as power over Ethernet PoE standards. And when Cambium came out with the 450b product line for their subscriber modules and the 450i product line for their access points, they made an inherent change as a company to move towards standards-based powers. And this 450b is a standards-based power solution that it's able to take it, and it's able to take the Cambium proprietary. What does that mean? Why is that important? Well, if you're doing a snap-in, snap-out replacement of an existing 450 subscriber module, you don't have to go into the house. You're not having to replace the PoE brick inside the house. You're not having to make any adjustments if they're already using the Canopy solution. But also if they're using a different solution, if they're doing, Ubiquity or Mimosa or something like that, as long as the voltages are roughly what it needs to be, it's also a snap-in and snap-out replacement. So you could essentially forklift your network without having to enter those customers' homes. Cambium's also made a move to make more of a worldwide product, so the power supplies aren't included in neither of the line cords. It's a separate thing that you have to buy. The reason is that different countries have different wattages requirements, voltages, and specifically line cords. And so when you're buying these, you do have to make sure that you buy this unit, you're buying the power supply and the applicable line cord for it. In addition to that, you're also going to want to get the applicable surge suppressor. They have two options. They have a 10100 product that's kind of the big mover, and then they also have a gigabit surge suppressor. They do have that similar unit in a 56 volt and a 28 volt variety, or 32. So you're gonna wanna make sure that you get the lower voltage one for the 450b. As a whole, I really like this product. I think it's going to be one that's heavily utilized by existing Canopy ISPs from way back in the day. A lot of people have been waiting for this to come out, as it's going to make their network upgrades really easy, but also this gives you a product line that you can stick with for years in the future. And the failure rate of the 450 product line is extremely low. So it's a reliable, economical solution to provide fixed wireless broadband access to very remote communities. If you have any questions, feel free to post them in the comments, and I'm more than happy to go through and answer them. And if you'd like me to review any products that you have, feel free to reach out to me directly, and we'll get that scheduled so we can have your products also shown. Again, this is a great product from a long-lasting company. Cambium's historically more on the carrier grade product line, and I'm excited to see what they have in the future.